the Strait of Hormuz is closed again, and I'm laughing because our first take, you should have seen it. I didn't know what to even get out. I feel like I'm living in the twilight zone. This back and forth. We still don't have a deal with Iran. The ceasefire is going to end in the next 72 hours, and where do we go from here? More big talk from Trump. He's going to go after the power plants, and I feel like we're just reliving the last month on replay. But here's a clip from Fox. We're going to go through it. Roll the clip.
Holding a situation room meeting yesterday with top officials as he weighs whether or not to extend the ceasefire with Iran, which ends Tuesday night.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yinks joins us now from Israel with the latest. Trey, good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. The ceasefire between the United States and Iran is set to expire.
It's nice to not see this guy with a helmet on. He usually has a helmet.
The Iranians are testing the agreement.
Artillery
over the weekend. Two
vest
vessels
on.
that were trying to pass through the Strait
Hiding in
of
some
Hormuz
bunker.
reported gunfire toward their ships. Other vessels were able to pass, but the Iranians say the strait is closed once again and in their control.
If traffic is still taking place in the strait today and is proceeding, we control the strait. Now, for 2 or 3 days, the U.S. has deliberately laid siege. What does siege mean? It means that everyone comes and goes, but Iran doesn't go. What a foolish and ignorant decision.
The U.S. blockade of Iranian ports remains in effect. CENTCOM said that 23 vessels complied with their warnings to turn around on Saturday. Additional vessels were forced to turn around today. President Trump spoke from the Oval Office over the weekend about the situation in the Strait.
They got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years, and nobody ever took them on. We took them on. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no leaders. They have no nothing. Actually, their leaders are, it is regime change.
The Iranians continue to threaten U.S. forces in the region, but while the Iranians are talking, the Americans are preparing, sending dozens of additional transport planes to the region over the weekend.
The upper hand is with our forces. We hold the advantage. We have not struck many of the targets. In other words, we have left some more important matters for later stages. And if matters return to war again, we hold the upper hand. We can stop oil production. We can shut down 15 million barrels of oil a day and keep it suspended for an entire year. We did not want to create major disruption in the world, so we showed patience and acted with restraint.
The reality is the United States has the upper hand, the most powerful military in the world that is preparing if negotiations fail. Guys?
You hold the clip right here. So the question we have, in the U.S. Navy seized an Iranian cargo ship. The USS Spurance was involved and actually shot the engines and stopped it, and they ended up seizing the boat. And it was a couple-hour standoff between the Navy and that ship. Where do we go from here? The ceasefire expires Wednesday. And Iran, I mean, they're saying they have the upper hand. It seems that way. Like, that's what it seems like. A lot of these Trump talking points, I think they're just talking points and trying to pray for the best. I just don't know what the off-ramp, and I keep saying, what's the off-ramp? What's the off-ramp? Do we end up in a ground war with Iran, which would be disastrous? And that's where it seems like we're going. I don't see this ending any other way. I don't think Iran wants to come to the table. We have a deal. We don't have a deal. The Strait of Hormuz is open. The U.S. is in control. Iran's in control. Like, who knows what's true in all this? What I can tell you is that oil is still up and it's fluctuating, but gas prices haven't come down. You have it over $4. Cost of goods are going up again. You're starting to see some type of inflation. So, like, what's the off-ramp here is what I keep asking, but it seems like Iran is in control, and eventually Trump is going to have to back his words. And what does that do to the rest of the global economy, right? And China's suffering, Japan is suffering, India's suffering. So this is a global conflict. It's just not a conflict between Iran and the United States. So I don't know. I just feel like we're living in the twilight zone. We're 2 months into this war or this conflict, and we still don't have a resolution. It doesn't seem like we have anything that's even remotely close to having peace. Keep rolling the clip.
There seems to be some confusion about whether the strait is open or not.
I spoke with regional sources over the weekend who said the strait is effectively closed because the Iranians are now firing on vessels that are trying to pass through. We know that some vessels were able to make it through the strait, but the Iranians came out after President Trump said the strait was open, saying that it's closed and it's in their control. What's interesting, though, is that the Iranian foreign minister even said exactly what President Trump was saying only hours later to be rebuffed by his own state media through officials there in the IRGC saying that the foreign minister's statement was incorrect. So the Iranians don't even know the answer to that question. And it gives you a sense of how effective the U.S. and Israeli campaign against the Iranian regime was over the past 45 days, because it sent an inability for the Iranians to communicate within their ranks. And also there are clear disagreements between not only the foreign minister, but also the speaker of Iran's parliament and top IRGC officials about what to do with the Strait of Hormuz. Guys?
Trey, so the Iranian regime is saying, well, we've got the upper hand and we can just shut off oil for, up to a year if we want, and that'll hurt you, but it actually hurts China, right, the most?
Yeah, it hurts China and other countries. The United States relies very little on the oil that is passing through the Strait of Hormuz, just a few percentage points when you look at the spreadsheet for American usage of this oil. Some European countries, the number is 20 or 30%. But as it relates to the Iranians, what they are describing here is actually a situation that is hurting their economy, not the U.S. economy, because the Iranians use Karg Island for 90% of their crude oil processing. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical waterway to export their oil. So the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports was described to me today as strategic excellence by President Trump, understanding that this is choking off the main ability for the Iranian economy to function. And so while the Iranians make many of these statements publicly, privately they are very worried about what is taking place. And again, they don't hold the cards at the negotiating table or on the battlefield. And it gives President Trump a variety of options if the Iranians are unwilling to move the needle. Remember, just over the weekend, it looked like there was some progress being made toward a second round of direct talks between the United States and Iran. Now the Iranians are saying they're going to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. They are saying they're not willing to give up their highly enriched uranium. And they say they are prepared to return to war with the United States. They're trying to call President Trump's bluff. And as we have seen in the past, the president is not bluffing. He is very serious about the situation with Iran. And there are two options for the Iranians. Either they make a good faith deal and give up their enriched uranium, or it will be taken from them.
Don't cut the clip.
Trey, it's
That's the whole entire thing, and I've been saying this, is that you have the government of Iran is fractionalized right now. You don't know who truly is in power. You could be dealing with somebody here that you think you have something in place, and then the other side is calling shots, and you don't know who's in power. Who are they even dealing with? Because they wiped out the whole entire leadership, and this whole entire country is fractionalized. There's like 30 different divisions. So who's truly in control? I don't know what the hell fell there, but anyways, who's truly in control of Iran? Who is making the decisions for Iran? And that's the question. There's supposed to be another rounds of talks in Pakistan. J.D. Vance was supposed to head them. He got pulled out for safety reasons. There was not enough time to be able to set up whatever they needed to set up for him to make the trip. So now who's going to be representing the United States? Is it going to be Jared Kushner and the rest of that crew representing the United States in these talks? And does Iran even show up to these talks? And I think the Strait of Hormuz is really Iran's leverage play here. And they're going to continue using it because if they can squeeze the world economy, then, then you can get the rest of the world against the United States and try to make a deal some way, somehow. But I do think they cannot have the capability of making a nuclear weapon. So the only, if they don't want to give up the uranium, then I guess there's no deal. But this is heading towards, I don't know, an extended war, if you ask me. As much as they try to spin it, I don't know how this gets solved. Maybe, hopefully I'm wrong, but I've been calling it. I don't see how they get a deal done. Trump has been using every tactic in the book, from fear, art of the deal, and none of it seems to be working. And it seems like Iran has the leverage, even though Trey Yinks here with Fox News is making it seem like, Trump and the United States is in control of this. I don't know if I completely buy that. So again, like I keep saying, this changes every single day. Tomorrow will be different news, and we will see where we go from there. But I'm sure something else will happen, and we'll have a conversation about it. But I hope there's a resolution here quickly, because it's not looking good. Again, we're like at a standstill with this whole entire situation, and the ones that are being impacted are not only the people in the battlefield, but people here in the States and in other countries that are feeling it economically. All right, so I'm going to move on to something else. Patrick Bet-David and Tucker Carlson had a back and forth. Tucker basically called out PBD and made some references of basically Nazism, and PBD responded. So we're going to go through that whole ordeal. We're going to put up PBD's response to Tucker Carlson, and I'm going to give my thoughts on both sides of this. Roll the clip.
Here's Patrick Bet-David on his podcast a day or two ago. Watch this.
I don't know why Catholics, have this issue with Jews. I don't know what it is. They have this. I don't listen. I get the Jews have issues with Christians, and they'll make fun, and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, your Jesus is gonna do." They'll say, "Well, he was a Jew anyways, right?" Yeah. But then Catholics have that issue with Jews, and they act like they're all innocent and everything. And when you look at Catholics, the amount of centralized power they have, centralized. If you know what the total Catholic population is worldwide, it's like 1.213 billion. Jews are 15.
You can stop it right there. I want to give my points on this. I don't know this whole beef with Catholics and Israelis. I've never experienced it, to be quite honest. Does the Catholic Church have the power that PBD is saying? Sure, but the Jews do in certain industries. So I don't know how true that is from that standpoint. But I grew up Catholic. I've been around a lot of Catholics, and the Jews were never a point of contention, other than, we say that they killed Jesus. That's the only real conversation we have over a dinner table, is that the Jews killed Jesus. And I've heard from Jews that, they don't believe Jesus is the Messiah. But outside of that, I haven't seen anything that's alarming when it comes to the Jewish and the Catholics relationship. But I don't know, I may be wrong. Put it in the comments. I don't know. I've never seen it. Keep rolling the clip.
But Jews are decentralized, meaning Jews don't have somebody they listen to that says, "Hey, you better do this." Catholics, God forbid you say something about the Pope. They're like, "Hey, man, listen, who is that Pope figure in the Christian community? We don't have one." No. If I ask you right now who's the Pope in the Christian community, you don't have somebody to look at. Who is it? Which pastor?
Yeah, exactly.
No, they don't.
We don't have one.
It's an independent network.
It's just the Bible. So if you look at, only Catholics and Muslims have somebody that they look at as their supreme leader. Like, you got to go to somebody. But even more, it's Catholic.
Well, there's only two theocracies in the world:
Catholicism,
Islam. I'm sorry, the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yep.
And the Vatican.
Yeah.
Those are the two major theocracies.
So actually, the Vatican is very much like the Nazi Iranian government, the theocratic government, the mullahs. It's all basically the same. They've got the complicated dress. They hate the Jews, as Patrick Bet-David just said. Catholics have a problem with the Jews. A problem with the Jews. It's slander. It's an attack on the world's largest and oldest Christian denomination, and it's taking place openly. And it's all coming from the same source, which is Israel. The issue is Israel. Anyone who supports the Netanyahu government, not Israel as a concept, not all Jews, no, the Netanyahu government, anyone who ratifies every decision, no matter how violent or grotesque or genocidal, of the Netanyahu government, those are the good people, and anyone who doesn't is a Nazi. And by the way, their religion itself is a Nazi religion. It's an inherently anti-Semitic religion.
So Tucker, it's interesting. I watched this video a few times, and respectfully, I want to respond to you because you're a formidable voice. Whether I agree with you or not, you're somebody that's very good at getting your message out there. And I think at this point, if there's anybody that believes in your ability, it's a guy like this, who after I sold my company, I gave offered you a $100 million contract. I even went on your friend Megyn Kelly's show when I announced it, and she was asking specific questions. I said, yep, we went to your house, we made the offer, then we spent some time together. I came to Maine, and we did your show, and we've had a couple good conversations together. So I believe in you. I think you're funny, quirky, very good communication, and you have your way of doing things. It's almost like you do twist words a lot, and I noticed you did that with me. He hates Catholics. You know, he hates this. Catholics hate the Jews, and all this stuff that you did. It's a little bit of your shtick, which I get. But let me kind of get into a few things I want to address with you in this video, and maybe
Stop
you're not
right
aware
here,
of it.
right before PVD gets into his remarks. I kind of agree with PVD here. Like, it's a shtick, and I feel like all these podcasters, like the Candace Owens and the Theo Vons and everybody, it's like this West Coast versus East Coast, Crips and Bloods. Like, we got bad beef, and we go at each other, and any little thing we make it a nothing burger into this big situation. And what PVD said about the Catholics wasn't such a big deal. Like, give me an effing break. It's not like he called them a Nazi group. He just says, look, they look up to the Pope, they listen to the Pope. And what was a big deal? But, everybody's looking for clicks and views, and we got to have talking points when we do podcasting, including yours truly. We got to have talking points, right? So I think that's a lot of this is coming from that place where, oh, he said this, I got to go at him. And and it's just the more, division type clickbaiting, rage baiting type content. But keep rolling the clip.
A few things you need to know about me. My number one priority is to make sure America stays as the greatest country in the world. Period, full stop. I'm America first. I'm a Christian, non-denominational Christian that you need to know about me. And by the way, I'm Armenian, which, by the way, the first nation that accepted Christianity as their religion was Armenians. And the only ones that debate Armenians on them being first is Assyrians, and my dad is Assyrian. Maybe that's the reason why my parents divorced each other twice, married each other and divorced each other. So Armenian, Assyrian, Christian, America first. I want this thing to be the greatest country in the world. I want capitalism to be common sense for everybody, to realize that if a new person wants to come up and have their dreams become a reality, I want that to be out there. But I wonder if that's where you are today. You were always there for many years until what's happened with you the last couple of years. So let me kind of address a few things. So you said something a couple weeks ago. You said Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. It's interesting. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. It's a pretty bold statement.
You can stop it right there. If you look at any video in the past of Tucker Carlson just denouncing the Muslim religion and Sharia law, and now this switch, like, why the switch? He's buying a home in Qatar. Is he really buying it? Are they giving it to him? Is he on their payroll? Like, all of a sudden, this whole narrative has switched with Tucker Carlson. And Sharia law, really the place where women are not allowed to work nor drive? And they got to bow down to men? You want to compare that to our values in Western society, and that's more advanced? Give me a break. Give me a break. Continue rolling the clip.
More than you're selling America. You had a guest on a couple weeks ago. Your guest said, that capitalism should not be anywhere near Christianity. Christianity is socialism at its core. You almost agreed with them. And you're like, yes. And you almost agreed with them. So socialism, Christianity at its core, you almost sound like you're supporting maybe a Mamdani in New York or maybe an Ilhan Omar. Maybe those two will be in your podcast in the next few months. I don't know. I'm trying to see what you're solving for. See, this is kind of where I'm at with my life that most people don't know about, but let me kind of share it with you. For 7.5 years, I worked with Mormons. Guess what? I read everything I could on Mormons, and I realized it's not a denomination for me. I'm not interested. I watch all the videos you're not supposed to watch. Ask me how many bad experiences I had with Mormons. 0. They're phenomenal people. I work with Seventh-day Adventists, and I learned that on Saturdays, there's Saturday, Sunday, all these different things. Very interesting. Guy named Juan Rivas, big community. Not for me, but guess what? I got along with them. Jews. I notice Jews, when I do business with them, it's very interesting if you negotiate with them. They're going to be very, very making sure they get all the benefits on their side. But ask me how many times I've had issues with Jews. Never. Okay, if you ask me about Catholics, I built an insurance company with 60,000 insurance agents, 54% Hispanic. And what do you think most Hispanics are? Catholics. Never had one issue with a single Catholic in my life. And last but not least, Islam, Muslim. I lived with them for 11 years. When you say Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West, I lived with the IRGC and the Hezbollahs in Iran, where my mother and my sister were frightened to walk outside. That's this guy. I lived with them, okay? Not hypotheticals. And, you know, we are now both very wealthy. You come from a very wealthy
Stop
family.
it right
I
here.
think you also may.
And that's, we live with this hypothetical theories. Like, I laugh when people try to question Cuba and it's the United States' fault and Trump. Dude, you have no context or understand the history of the last 67 years. Why are you speaking up on Cuba? You've never lived it. I lived it. I lived it with my family. I can tell you, speak to any Iranian that has lived there and is living here now, they'll tell you they don't agree. And there's groups out there supporting what Iran, the Iranian government, or supporting the Cuban government. And you want to talk about oppression here in the United States? Go talk to somebody from these countries. Like, this is crazy. And PBD lived there for 11 years of his life. He just said it. His mother and sister were afraid to go outside. That's Sharia law. And this is what Tucker Carlson is pushing now? Why? Why? And PBD's going to get into it. Why? I mean, if you could read between the lines, maybe there's a reason why Tucker is now starting to push being a Muslim and Sharia law. Continue the clip.
Married into a wealthy family, and you made a lot of money. You made a lot of money in your life, and your business is doing very well today. When you go to dinner, you're having dinner with people that are going to make sure you see the best side of everything you go to. When I went to Mumbai, they showed me the best part of Mumbai. I went to the slums because I wanted to see what it looked like. Whatever part of the world I go to, I get treated royally today. Why? Because they want to show me the best. But I lived in the worst when our family had nothing. Literally nothing is what we had when we lived in Iran. Regular places, we lived in the city of Tehran. But you know, as crazy as that is, do you know my chef that lives with us? When we go on the road, he's with us all the time. Do you know he's Muslim and he's Turkish and he's still a Muslim? And do you know what Turks did to Armenians and Assyrians? You ever heard of the Armenian genocide or the Assyrian genocide? You ever heard of that? 1.5 million, 300,000, 200,000? I love this guy. He's a great guy to us. He's very good to us because I isolate the relationship with that individual. And I still tell him how concerned I am with what Islam could do to America. I am still concerned of that, of what's happened in many different societies. Look at, you know, what they're doing in Minnesota, many markets that we read about. Look at what's going on in New York right now. Look at what's going on in a couple places in Plano on how they're growing. And so Charlie Kirk, whom you and I think, both admire, Charlie Kirk once said, I think it was 2 days before he was killed. I think it was 1 day before he was killed. He said, Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Let me read it to you one more time. Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Do you agree with Charlie? Because I do. I do. Because it's all like, hey, let's make it not a big deal. Let's be tolerant. Let's be tolerant Christians. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. Let's just be tolerant. It's okay. Let's be tolerant. Let's accept all this stuff. Let's allow all this immigration that's going on in UK. It's not a big deal. They're not that bad. It's fine. They don't live the way you do. They just don't. They don't live by the values you and I live in America. They don't. Now, if you, I have a lot of friends that, you know, like Andrew Tate chose to become a Muslim. If you've already converted, but you've not made the announcement publicly, listen, to each his own. You're making that decision as an adult. I support it. More power to you. But my priority is America first. My priority is to make sure we advance America in a way that young men are able to make enough money to get married and have 3+ kids, preferably 4, and be able to have their kids' dream become a reality where if they want to go build a business and make billions, do it. If you want to make millions, do it. If you want to go in the military, do it. If you want to go out there and, you know, have a regular job, making $58,000 a year at whatever company, but you're happy about your job because you're a school teacher, go do it. That's what I want. And as a Christian man, non-denominational, Christ is king. I say that comfortably. My life changed the day I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior, January 21st of 2004. I will say that to a Jew, to a Muslim, to a Catholic, to anybody. That's my faith. And every day I fall short. When we first moved to Florida, for the first 30 days, every single night, I would walk and I would listen to this version of Amazing Grace because that's the only thing I relate to. Those words, you know the words. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. That, I want to read this thing to you, that saved a wretch like me, like this guy. Regular guy, a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Jesus Christ changed my life. And I'm a Christian man saying this, a business owner. Most people don't know what I do throughout the day. I run companies for a living. I'm not a media guy. We've grown this business from 9 employees to 165 employees. I'm in meetings from morning till night, and I love what I do because I live in the greatest country in the world. So, message back to you. I don't want to be enemies.
You stop it
with
right
you,
here.
although if you
This is the greatest country in the world. And I was having a conversation, actually went to the opening event of the boardroom, which is PWD's private lounge, members only. I'm actually a member there. And I brought Vitor Belfort, and we had an amazing conversation. It was actually between Vitor and Pat. And I just sat back and just listened. And Vitor told Pat how much he admired him because he has put God first, his family. And PWD said to him, you know, it's not easy. There's not many of us that would take these stands publicly and put God and family first. And he said that in a private conversation, and I hate to put it out there because he didn't mention it in his podcast the other day, so I'll put it out there. But it was just a wonderful conversation talking about of living a godly life. And we do fall short every single day, but putting God first, and it's not popular amongst the world, right? And PWD spoke about that. So I thought it was interesting he mentioned this in his rebuttal to Tucker. But he's absolutely right. Like, what's Tucker's motive here? Is Tucker, and he's going to get into this, and I wonderful and masterful by PWD, basically putting Tucker on the spot and saying, let's show our financials and see who's getting paid from who. Because I see a lot of the comments, and a lot of people are saying that PWD's he's a Zionist, he's being paid by Israel. Then you have Tucker. A lot of people are saying he's being paid by the Muslims. So it's like this back and forth. And PWD like put it to bed. He said, like, let's get a third party and let's do audited financials and let's see who's getting paid by who. Keep rolling the clip.
Want to be enemies, I'm okay with that as well. It doesn't bother me, but I don't want to be enemies with you because I actually want to believe deep down inside you love America. You love America. I want to believe deep down inside you're there. And whether you know this or not, you have a lot of influence right now. I do think one of the topics that's going to be an issue on the ballot for 2028 will be Israel, control, AIPAC, all of that stuff. And I'd like to see how that pans out and how it goes because I like debates. I watch these debates. I watch what takes place. I watch to see where the market is going to. So I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're trying to get behind a Massey because I think he's a pretty capable, talented guy. I don't know if you want to run. I don't know what you're solving for. I don't know if you're like, well, I don't care if we win the midterms. I don't care. Let a Democrat win. Maybe sometimes America needs to go through the pruning process because I want to see destroy the GOP and start all over again. I don't know. Maybe that's the vision. If it is, more power to you. That's not my vision. My vision isn't that. And I have a sprinkle of libertarian in me because I want to be left alone and just kind of allow me to do that kind of stuff. So whenever I have the conversation and I listen to it, Dave, I agree with a lot of the stuff libertarians also believe in, but I think there's an end to it because we've already started a country the way that we are. And so you and I both get accused of something. I want you to process this, and I want you to know I'm open to it. You get accused of, this guy, Tucker's taking money. Oh, Pat's a Zionist. He's taking money from Israel. Never been to Israel. AIPAC messaged me and told me, you want to come to Israel? I said, I have no interest in going to Israel for you to pay for me. I'm going to go one day with my pastor. We've never taken money from anybody. And I'm so confident with myself on what I've done because there's only one thing I fear in my life, and that's God. I don't fear anything more than I fear God. And trust me, I fear God a lot because this thing's like this. If you ever wanted to have fun, and let's just say, put it out there on the line, and again, I'll put the onus on you if you're open to this or not. let's go hire 3 accounting firms. You pick one, I pick one, and let's get a third party that we both agree on, maybe like a KPMG, PwC, and BKD, hypothetically. Some of the biggest firms you probably recognize. You have money, you've done well for yourself. Let's have them do audited financials on me, my wife, and you and your wife, and report back to see if I've ever gotten paid from Israel, and report back to see if you've ever gotten paid from Qatar or Pakistan or any of these guys. All the businesses, all the LLCs, all the accounts, you know how this kind of works. They can kind of figure that out. And let's be honest with the audience. Let's be honest with the audience. If you're open to it, I'm available. We'll have to spend $500,000, something like that, because it's going to take a few weeks for them to do it. I am fully open to the idea if you are. And by the way, I know this may make you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to accept this offer. But I'm telling you, I'm comfortable if you want to do it. You don't have to do it because it's a little bit private. So I'm sure you're going to come out and say, how dare he want to look at my wife's bank accounts and all this other stuff? Because some people may say, well, they can pay your wife and not through you. And I get that as well. And that's why I want to be a little bit transparent with you. I've tried many times to build a relationship with you. It's been challenging. But I do want you to know that as a Christian man myself, no matter how much you go to a place to not want to believe in somebody, I've been instructed by God to try to do my best to have some grace. And I believe in you. I believe in your abilities. But I believe in God and America more than I believe in any man in America, because I've seen many great empires fall. And for as long as I'm alive and I'm kicking, and if God wants to use me as a voice to elevate how amazing of a country we live in, how lucky we are to be here,
Amen.
I'm going to use my voice to elevate that message. I've been doing that since the time I went to dinner with a few different people in LA, and I was inspired, and I was finally taught about how amazing this great country is that we escaped Iran after 11 years and went to Germany at a refugee camp.
Mic drop, I guess. Like, all right, you're calling me these things. Let's bring out the financials. That solves everything. Let's see if I'm really being paid by Israel. I'm really a Zionist. But let's see if you're taking money from Qatar, all these Middle Eastern countries, right? Saudi Arabia. Let's see if you're taking money. Let's see why it is that you have changed your narrative and motive over the past couple of years, right? So it was a masterful move, in my opinion, by PBD. And I've seen a lot of the comments where people are saying he really didn't answer the question. Well, to me, the proof is in the pudding. Let's bring out the financials and let's see who's being paid by who. It's going to cost $500,000. That's what an audited, financials cost, and with a very good, firm. So I thought it was masterful. I think it was brilliant by PBD to come out and say, let's bring out the financials. Maybe he didn't need 16 minutes to respond, and he could have done it in 2 minutes and say, okay, bro, this is what you're saying. Cool. Let's bring out the financials and see who's getting paid by who. And that's it. That will determine where the motives are at. So I thought it was masterful by PBD. And, just knowing and being around that situation there, I know how they roll. He doesn't take money from anybody. I've talked to many different people in his organization, in his orbit, and he doesn't. And you can believe it, not believe it. That's cool. But again, PBD's open to opening up his financials. I hope Tucker does as well. Let's show the world. Maybe both of them, don't have anything to hide, or maybe one does. Who knows? But open up the financials. Let's let the world see what's going on, and stop with all these accusations. Anyways, that concludes our show for today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. We're really trying to grow the show. I would love your feedback and comments. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.